We have got to get past this endless, unforgiving, zero-tolerance mindset bent on punishing and disappearing anyone caught saying the wrong thing. The right response to speech you don't like is more speech.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. But life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
These days, politics is more about identity, ideology, and power battles than it is about policy, making every discussion a fight. Few people can equal Whoopi Goldberg and Bill Maher's fireworks when it comes to contrasting personas. These two, media giants who are both vocal about their opinions, recently got into a heated dispute that revealed the profound rifts in the contemporary political system.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Given that Maher is not a Republican, this discussion was not your typical liberal conservative. 1. In truth, he has always been a Democrat. However, in the current environment, just challenging progressive narratives is enough to earn an enemy label. When he questioned Whoopi Goldberg on media hypocrisy, criminality, and economic failures, that is precisely what transpired. In the shocking moment that followed, it became clear that Whoopi could not answer Maher's scathing accusations. What precisely transpired then? Why did this disagreement get so heated? What does it reveal about the changing political landscape in America? Let's dissect everything. Whoopi Goldberg and Bill Maher ought to be on the same side on paper. Both have established themselves as liberal voices that support progressive causes and critique conservative viewpoints. However, Maher has been one of the most vocal opponents of the so-called woke left in recent years.
Tear down statues of Lincoln and get rid of the police. Just, no, it's not that I've gotten old, it's that your ideas are stupid.
A phrase he used to characterize the increasing intolerance and inconsistencies in contemporary progressivism. Conversely, Whoopi continues to be firmly rooted in the dominant Democratic narrative and frequently brushes off criticism of the left as exaggerated right-wing propaganda. A violent brawl was sparked by this basic injustice. The first topics of debate were crime and inflation, two topics that are highly important to the typical American.
Of any matters of politics or what's right or wrong, the one thing I know for sure about America is this. It's run by mean girls. Mean girls in the press and in politics and in life. And when they smell blood in the water, the lust to finish off a vulnerable person will never be denied.
Like many progressive commentators, Whoopi played down the seriousness of these issues, claiming that they were overblown by the right-wing media to incite unwarranted fear. Maher, however, didn't believe it. Maher effortlessly sliced through the political rhetoric. He cited specific statistics, such as rising major city crime rates, middle-class families being strained by ballooning prices, and polls indicating that people, even those from minority areas, are becoming increasingly disenchanted with the way the Democratic Party has handled these issues.
Run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. If racism is built into our society, white progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them. Black people, they're just like us.
People cannot be told not to trust their own eyes. Maher was direct. You cannot convince someone that everything is okay when they notice that their shopping costs have gone up and they feel uncomfortable going out at night. Visibly agitated, Whoopi tried to divert the discussion from details by claiming that economic hardships occur under any regime and that criminality has always occurred.
I watch your show all the time, so I know that you're a comic, but you basically go after Trump and Biden, both of them. And a lot of people are not happy with you about that. I'm
not equally.
Well, not equally, because you know that Trump is doing more dangerous.
Of course. I mean, I don't think anybody was more out front on that danger than I was. There's people who really like him. They certainly are those. And then there's people who don't necessarily like him that much, but they still think he's less crazy than stuff that strikes them as aggressively anti-common sense.
But Maher continued on. He drew attention to the ways that progressive politicians in places like New York and San Francisco have adopted policies that have made matters worse rather than better, including as liberal sentencing guidelines, open-air drug markets masquerading as humanitarian measures, and defunding the police. The tension in the room was clearly undeniable. Even if Maher wasn't particularly targeting Whoopi, he was dismantling the intellectual bubble that progressive elites often inhabit. Then the topic was raised that led to the argument's total collapse. Hunter Biden. Maher brought up the ongoing crisis regarding President Biden's son and highlighted the glaring double standard in the media's handling of political crises. If this were Don Jr. or Eric Trump, it would be all over the big networks. But since it's Hunter, we're supposed to pretend it doesn't matter. Whoopi immediately dismissed the topic, saying it was a distraction. But Maher wasn't talking about Hunter's personal issues. He was talking about the integrity of the media and the government. He reminded Whoopi and the audience that the story of the Hunter Biden laptop was heavily censored by social media platforms and dismissed by security services as Russian disinformation just before the 2020 election.
Appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not.
Only for those same authorities to finally admit its truth. This is not a conspiracy theory, it is a fact. And the media's hiding of this material to assist one party should worry everyone, regardless of their political views, Maher added. Whoopi, clearly unable to reply, used the conventional defense, calling it a Republican obsession. Even Democratic writers, including Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi, admitted that the media's portrayal of the Hunter Biden story was deceptive, Maher pointed out. This was a turning point in the argument because it brought to light a widening gap between those who are prepared to challenge their own position and others who naively support it, rather than between left and right. Maher's discussion of the larger problem, that progressivism has become disconnected from reality, was the last straw. He underlined that the left has always defended free expression, stood with the working class, and resisted abuses of corporate power. But now it has evolved into a movement obsessed with purity tests, identity politics, and suppressing dissent. Look at the people who vote. Look at the polls. Working-class voters are abandoning the Democratic Party, especially those who are Black and Hispanic. Why? Because they care more about crime, jobs, and schools than they do about language restriction and virtue signaling. Whoopi made a frantic attempt to regain control by asserting that WOC is just about being aware of social injustices. But Maher would have none of it, with a retort, "No Whoopi." It's related to dogma. It involves forcing people to adopt a worldview that punishes others who hold different opinions. As a result, people are rejecting it. At the moment, it was not just Maher versus Whoopi. It was about the future of the Democratic Party. At the end of the discussion, it was clear that Bill Maher had given everything away. He revealed how the left has become enmeshed in its own paradoxes and is hesitant to face its own narratives or acknowledge its flaws. He showed how progressive elites often dismiss issues affecting average Americans as right-wing hyperbole, even when real people are suffering. Most importantly, he showed that many traditional liberals, including himself, are being turned off by an ideology that prioritizes total loyalty above open discourse. Therefore, whether the left has gone too far is still up for debate. Will Maher's and other voices be enough to prevent it before it's too late? If so, Please provide your thoughts in the space provided for comments. Is it appropriate for Bill Maher to draw attention to the contradictions in the modern left? Or do you think Whoopi had a valid cause for refusing to back down? Regardless of your stance, this debate is far from over. Remember to like, subscribe, and enable notifications for more in-depth assessments of the most important political disputes going on at the moment. Of the most important political disputes of our era. I hope to see you in the next video.